Well, I think that the program for the Warsaw Festival is very good. They have a number of films that were successful in Cannes and elsewhere, in which, people in Warsaw, if they get a chance, they should definitely go and see the movies. Films like Waltz with Bashir, which was the opening night film, which was a sensation in Cannes, an animated Israeli documentary. I think my favorite film for the whole year is the closing night movie, Tulpan, which is a comedy set in Kazakhstan. I was a lawyer in New York doing mostly court cases for corporations when I met Sarah Driver, who was and is Jim's girlfriend. And she was the producer on Jim's short movie, Stranger Than Paradise, and she asked me to try and help them make it into a feature film, which I did. And I spent 2 years working on that for really no money at the time. And we were making a very low-budget movie, black and white. My 86-year-old Hungarian grandmother was one of the stars. My grandmother was one who really stole the film, but it was her first and only time acting. She really played herself in the film. But we had a great time making it, and much to everybody's surprise, it won the Camera d'Or in Cannes and got fantastic reviews and was released all around the world. And it created the opportunity for Jim to make other movies, and I worked with him on Down by Law, Mystery Train, Night on Earth, to raise the money and help produce the films and sell the movies. And it was a great period. I mean, Jim made great movies, and it was wonderful working with him. And then after Night on Earth, I started working with a number of other directors. Fredrik Fredriksson in Iceland, Bent Hamer in Norway, American directors like Alex Rockwell. We did In the Soup with Steve Buscemi and Seymour Cassel that won the grand prize at Sundance. Greg Araki, whose movie The Living End, which I co-produced, is actually here in the festival now in a remastered form. Adrian Shelley, and a number of other directors who maybe you didn't hear of, but maybe you will hear of, because they're all talented people. I've been very lucky to work with these talented, mostly younger, but talented directors. When I was young, I fell in love with cinema, but the cinema I fell in love with was not really Hollywood movies. It was Bergman, it was Fellini, Truffaut, Asian directors like Kurosawa, Charlie Chaplin. I mean, traditional European art films. And I felt more of a connection to those films than Hollywood movies. I enjoy Hollywood movies. Like everyone else, I go on Friday, Saturday night to forget my life. But they're the kind of films that they're very exciting when you see them, but afterwards you don't think about them. The European films, and you have great Polish directors, Wajda, Kieślowski, and so on, that they make you think about your life, where you came from, where you're going. They stay with you. There's a certain poetry to those films. And those are the kinds of films I fell in love with and wanted to make. So I worked with American directors who made European-type films, like Jarmusch and others. And then I worked with European directors, so it was a natural development. I've always been interested in how films work and the story behind films. And I've talked to directors about it. I have to decide, after all, which films to get involved in, even if somebody else wrote the script. And I went in 1989 to Iceland and fell in love with the country, and I wanted to make a movie there. And I had finished this movie with Jim Jarmusch, Mystery Train. One of the stars was Masatoshi Nagase, a young Japanese actor. And I wanted to make another movie with him. And suddenly those two ideas came together, and I decided, well, what about making a road movie about a Japanese guy who goes to Iceland? And so I had the idea. I met Fredrik Fredriksson, who was later nominated for an Oscar. And he and I talked over the story and invented the story and made the movie. So that's the first time I wrote a script. And then with Bent Hamer, we decided to do a movie based on a Charles Bukowski novel called Factotum. And to save money, we decided to adapt it ourselves. And neither of us had ever adapted a book. But we took the book, and between us, we changed it and adapted it. And I have a lot of other ideas for movies. So if I don't get caught up in producing somebody else's script, and I hope to write some more of these things and maybe make them into films. When I met Bent Hamer, I asked him about doing a movie in English, and he said he would be interested and he could get Norwegian money, which was important. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And he said, well, there's an American author, Bukowski, who I really like, and he mentioned Post Office and a couple of other possible books, including Factotum. And Post Office was already sold. Taylor Hackford, the famous director, owns it. But Factotum was available. So it was because Bent really suggested it that we made Factotum. Well, you know, a lot of academic people, you know, separate these jobs, you know, producing, writing, directing, you know, and they have a philosophical or intellectual construct why they're such different. But, you know, as a real person, if you love cinema, you know, you do what has to be done. You know, you write the script if you need to do it, you act in the film if an actor doesn't show up one day, you produce the movie. So it all comes really out of loving cinema.